Counting calories is very unsustainable long term, guys. So if you guys have never counted calories, I will want you to start there. Whether you're doing a reset or not, which is how we fix a plateau. If you do a reset, that you have to count calories during that. But if you're not doing a reset, I still want you to at least count calories, get that experience and learn. The big key takeaway here is that you progress yourself through stages, understanding that the goal is to get to the flow stage as fast as you can, right? As fast as you want to get the better results. There's no rush though. You choose the speed. Let's get into the weight loss plateau. This is important for us to get a head start here, and really, we don't want to override a plateau. And this is what I see happening all too often is people already under eating, and then they're told to increase their dose, and now they're under eating even more. Creates all sorts of problems. Let's start with you, Don. I see that lost some weight before, you're starting to regain. That prior weight loss, was that through GLP-1s or no medications?
So yeah, that was without any GLP-1.
How much weight did you lose before?
Right at 15 to 20 pounds.
Awesome. Okay. So you've had constipation going on. We'll definitely have some things we can add to your protocol for that. Okay, so we will do you had labs. We'll be taking a comprehensive thyroid panel. So the provider will take a look and see if they think you have hypothyroidism. Constipation is definitely one symptom of hypothyroid, but there's a lot more. There's a lot more symptoms. If you've had this for a while, an easy way to diagnose hypothyroid, like true hypothyroidism, if this has been going on for a while: hair loss, brain fog, tiredness, difficulty losing weight, achy body, intolerance to cold, dry skin, brittle skin and nails. These are all sort of thyroid symptoms. Do you feel like you've had a lot of those symptoms for a while? Oh, you're muted now.
Yeah, I'm exhausted. So if I have a full day at work, then by the time I get home, like I'm done. Like I'm like an hour out of probably laying down.
Gotcha. And you have a lot of those other symptoms as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So make sure you bring that up to the provider, because just as the symptoms are just as important as the blood work. So when you speak to our provider, she'll go over that. And because it's very different. If these symptoms started when you started dieting, that's different than you've had these symptoms for a while. So it sounds like you've had them for a while. So definitely you're going to want to take advantage of our thyroid management. And so we can get that optimized and get the ball rolling on your weight loss. Don, do you happen to know how many calories you think you average per day, or you've never counted calories?
It fluctuates. I've been really on a high protein, trying to do that. So I was hoping that would work, but that doesn't seem to be working either. Like 50, I take a protein shake in the morning that has about 50 grams of protein in it. And then throughout the day, I have 4 grams. I just really do protein. I haven't been counting calories.
Okay, no worries. Counting calories is very unsustainable long term, guys. But there is a lot that you learn from counting calories, say for a couple weeks. So if you guys have never counted calories, I will want you to start there. Whether you're doing a reset or not, which is how we fix a plateau. If you do a reset, that you have to count calories during that. But if you're not doing a reset, which we're going to decide now, I still want you to at least count calories, get that experience and learn. So in your case, Don, that's where we're at. I don't know if you're in a plateau because you've never counted calories. You don't know.
My constant gain there. It's just going up.
It's okay. So you'll start counting your calories as soon as you get an idea of, like, usually 3 or 4 days you're counting and you're like, oh, okay, now I know how much I think I've been averaging. As soon as you can figure out what you think you've been averaging, shoot us a text on the Flow hotline, and then we'll let you know whether you need to actually start with the reset or if you're eating enough, and then you can roll right into the program. Okay, Sandra. Let's see. Started semaglutide 2 weeks ago. Had chronic issues with weight. You had bypass 20 years ago. You lost 100 pounds trying to avoid diabetes. Gastric bypasses, they do a really good job beating diabetes. So the literature is very clear on that. How much of that weight have you regained?
So I didn't get to my goal weight. So I went down to 200 pounds, and then I lost 50 pounds on keto on my own. And then now I am just sitting at 180 pounds and not moving.
So you lost 50 and then gain 30 more, and that's how you're back to 180?
So no, I haven't gained anything. I lost 100 and then I just stopped at 100 with the bypass. So then I went on keto and lost 50 on my own. And now I'm just
But you've
stuck.
maintained it though. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great that you've maintained it. That takes a lot. That takes a lot of, so you haven't stopped the keto.
Yeah, I did because I wanted to incorporate carbs and a little bit more of calories because
Yeah.
I've been listening to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
the fact
so
that
I
you,
stopped it.
yeah, the fact that you were able to reintroduce carbs and your weight stayed, that's really good. That means you probably beat a lot of your insulin resistance. So that's freaking great. Do you happen to know how many calories you've been averaging?
About 1,000.
Okay. So we got to go up. That's very low. That is very low. I know this might sound crazy, but you probably should be eating somewhere closer to 1,800 a day.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never done that.
Uh, So this is the reset is so important, guys, for something like this. And this is why I do these small groups so we can all learn together. There, when you're off the meds in the future and you're healthy, you're gonna have normal amounts of hunger, and struggling to eat is never gonna be a problem when you're at a healthy body. But so we got to get your metabolism functioning there. Plus, you're gonna feel so much better. Your body needs that energy to function optimally. The reset, guys, if we decide here, like we are deciding with Sandra that she's going to do a reset, I want you to go back to the welcome form and really watch the videos in that section and read that section again, the reset and the plateau, just so you're aware. It's like a mini program in my program, Sandra. So you're going to be texting us every week with your updates that it explains there. I want your target for the first week to be about 1,200 calories a day.
Okay.
And your macros, as far as what you're doing, is totally fine. Keep that up. I'm not worried about changing your macros or anything like that. Let's just work on getting the calories up, keeping the protein adequate, and your ratio of carbs to fat. It sounds like you're still on the lower carb side, but you're not doing
Yes.
keto. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep that up. That's fine. Perfect. Okay,
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah. Veronica, so you are on tirzepatide. How long have you been on it?
This will be my 15th week.
Okay. You've only lost 12 pounds. And was that closer to the onset, like when you started, you lost that, and then you've been stalled since then?
I've been stalled maybe for 3 weeks now.
Okay, so you were losing slow, but
Oh, yeah.
it stayed consistent.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Do you happen to know how many calories you think you average?
I think I was under eating, I believe. I think 1,200, just because like I was like Dawn, just trying to get my protein in, and like I couldn't really eat like a full meal. I was just tending to go for beef jerky or like protein chips, like little protein snacks. So I lowered my dose this last week because I felt like I wasn't eating enough. So I'm gonna see how I do.
But you've never counted calories before.
No.
So let's do that same thing we talked about with we gotta do this for 4 weeks just so that we can learn. As soon as you figure out how many calories you think you're averaging, just let us know. It sounds like you already know you're under eating, so we know you're down. We know you need to do a reset. We just don't know where, right? So give us that starting point, and then we're gonna keep bumping you up week by week. We got Beatrice. Okay. You've been on some. How long have you been on semaglutide for?
So I haven't done it for 2 weeks. I stopped because I didn't want to keep taking the shots without talking to you first. So I did 8 weeks. Basically, I was doing 10 units of 0.5, but I think my dosage it's like a compound. So I think it's supposed to be more than a regular dose.
Yeah, usually 10 units is 0.25, but it really depends with the compounding pharmacy. So the units is just the volume, the concentration, the milligrams, that's the dose. Do you remember is it sema or tirzepatide you're talking about?
Semaglutide.
So it would be either 0.25 or 0.5.
It's 0.5.
Okay. That's like a moderate dose. So you did that for 8 weeks?
So I did that for 4 weeks. I had started at 0.25, 5 units of 0.25 for 4 weeks, and then 0.5 for 10 units for 4 weeks. So I did it for 4 weeks total. And then I stopped because I saw your video. So I was supposed to do like a 1.0, 20 units, but then I didn't want to do it because I was like, I don't want to up my dose. I'm struggling because I'm not like crazy hungry, but I can't also say that I feel like I can't eat. Like I eat my meals. So I've been eating, like obviously trying to prioritize protein, but I haven't felt, oh my God, like I can't finish this piece of chicken. So that was not a feeling I had at all.
And that's good. And you've seen me talk about why I don't want you to feel that. That's so abnormal. So good.
Yeah. My struggle is that so it's been 8 weeks, and I know like you can't compare your progress to other people, but I've only lost like a little less than, like I've gone back and forth. I haven't been able to get under 190. I've lost size. So I started at a size 14. That was the last pair of pants that I bought was a size 14. And I'm able to fit into a size 10. And I know that like sizing is one thing and weighs another, but I can't imagine getting to a size 6 and still weighing 190. That makes no sense.
You would be very muscular if that happened. No, I get that. I hear you. You should be getting there's definitely some weight that we need to get off you. No, I understand. Do you feel like you were losing the little bit of weight that you did lose in the beginning and then it definitely stalled in the last couple of weeks?
Honestly, I felt that I lost the bulk of the weight, like the 3rd and 4th week. But the 1st to the 3rd week, like I felt like no difference at all. And I would weigh myself and it was the same. And then I would lose a pound. And then the next week I'd be like up that same pound. And I'm working out. So I go and I walk in the morning, like 1.5 miles with my dogs. And then I go to the gym first. I do about 45 minutes to an hour of like just strength training. So I train with my husband. He knows how to work out. And then I come home, I walk my dogs for 1.5 miles. I go to work. And then when I come home from work, I have dinner and then I go for another walk. So like I'm putting in the work. I'm not seeing the results on the scale.
Yep. So we didn't lose much. Then middle of the program, you lost, and then you stopped losing again for the next few weeks. Yeah. So, okay. Do you know how many calories you're averaging, or you never counted before?
So I've counted calories before, and that's how I was able to lose weight a few years ago, like pre-COVID. So I can ballpark my meals about 400 to 500 calories a meal. So like I know how to portion like my eggs, and I usually don't add I try to keep my meals simple so that I know more or less what I'm eating. So if I'm having chicken, I'm having like chicken with a salad and maybe a small potato or a sweet potato. If I have rice, then I try to make sure that I'm not adding anything else to like my meal, except for like cleaner veggies, like a salad or something. So I do try to like portion myself.
Do you happen to know averages for the day? Do you happen to know averages for the day, you think, how much you've been averaging?
Probably in a day. So if each meal is like 400, so 1,200, 1,300. I will say some days it's a little bit more because if I have a juice versus like water, obviously I know like at that point, like I went a little over. But if I have like juice for lunch, I'll have like water for dinner. And so I do try to moderate what I eat. So if I eat rice for lunch, I don't eat rice for dinner.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. So we're definitely under eating. So we're going to start you off with a reset as well. And we're going to start with 1,400 as your target. Okay. And like I said, make sure you review that plateau and reset part of the welcome packet so that you know exactly what to expect. The only difference, guys, being in a reset, besides texting us every week until we're done with the reset, is the fact that you don't go into long fasting. And we'll talk about that later. But everything else in the program is still the same when you're in the reset. It's just we hold off on the longer fasting till we finish the reset, and then we start the longer fasting. Okay, Gabrielle, let's see. You're pre-diabetic, so we want to get in front of that. This is phenomenal for doing that. We can absolutely blood pressure, diabetes, all this kind of stuff. We're addressing the root cause here.
I'm not pre-diabetic anymore.
Oh, good.
I got some other blood work. Yeah.
Nice.
So everything's good, just overweight.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're gonna nip that. We're gonna handle that. Have you ever counted calories yourself before?
I think ballparking like 2,500 to 3,000. Some days a lot less. I'm on the road driving trucks, so it just depends.
So you got your occasional low days, but for the most part, most days 25, 3,000, and your weight's been steady last couple. Okay, perfect. So you're good. No reset needed. That's definitely good enough calories. Okay, so for the rest of you guys, there's going to be a supplement that I'm just adding this to the program. I'm always updating things. It's called Thyroid. Just getting at least one bottle is plenty. It's going to be something that you take during the reset, and we'll send you the direct link on the full scripts just so you have it. but it will support you guys during this reset, because what we're trying to do is speed up the metabolism. We're trying to increase the thyroid production. That's the reason why you can eat more and you're not gaining weight. And that's also why you'll start to feel better. The energy, the brain fog, all that kind of stuff. And then we get you to that optimal range where you're burning closer to 2000, give or take, for every guys. And then we roll. And then we roll into the longer fasting. Okay, cool. So now let's talk fasting, right? Because this is, I think, up there with cutting the processed foods out of your diet. Fasting is the equally as powerful. And we'll talk about diet next. But as you saw, I broke the fasting up into 3 stages. So intermittent is your daily. This is where you guys all start. And you could do that. You could do intermittent during the reset as well. So this is like taking your eating window and compressing it to 8 hours. In a 24-hour period, you are either fasting or eating. That's where 16-8 comes into play. 16 means including your sleep. That's your fasting window. And then with your eating window, it's 8 hours. So a 16-8, we start there. Once you're comfortable with that and you're not in a reset, as soon as you're ready, you bump yourself up to stage 2, which is, this is where we get into the longer fasting. Our first amount is a 24-hour fast, going from dinner to dinner. You get comfortable with doing that. You're like, great, I can do more. That wasn't that bad. Then you bump it to twice in a week. You do make sure you do those 3 days apart. Give your body a break in between. Once you're comfortable with that, and this is just as much mentally comfortable as it is physically comfortable. Once you're comfortable with that and you're ready for the next level of challenge, then you move on to the most powerful stage, which is the flow stage. And this is where you're trying to get to 48. You're probably not going to get to 48 the first time after a 24. This is the first time you go to bed that first day. You haven't eaten since dinner the night before. It's a big hump. It's a big jump for a lot of you. And then once you do that, you wake up in the morning and now you're already 38, 32, 34 hours into this. Once you can start doing that, you only do that once a week. Don't do that twice, because that's a lot. And you keep that once a week, trying to increase that with a maximum of 48. Now, each of you guys individually, if we need to modify the 48, we will. Not all humans are this identical, but 48 seems to be a good range for most people, surprisingly, for helping thousands of people. So I just chose 48 to make it like that's from dinner to 2 dinners away, bam, and we modify it more or less if we need to. So the big key takeaway here is that you progress yourself through these stages, understanding that the goal is to get to the flow stage as fast as you can, right? As fast as you want to get the better results. There's no rush though. And since you guys have your own individual bodies that you're dealing with that are going to give your own levels of resistance, you have your own stress levels. Because of this, you choose that. You choose the speed. So let me take a step back on the reset part. The question comes up usually, if it doesn't now, it will later. Should I take a break from my GLP-1? So as always, guys, I can't give you that medical advice and tell you should stop, but I can teach you the benefits of stopping. And then you guys make your own decision, because you're getting this prescribed to some of you guys by other providers. So the benefits of taking a break from GLP-1 are numerous. If you just started a couple of weeks, then that's different. But if you've been on the GLP-1 for a longer, more than a couple months, the break gives you a chance to resensitize your cells to the medication, which is awesome, because when you come back onto it, maybe you won't need as high of a dose. That's benefit number 1. Benefit number 2 is simply you got to get the calories down. And if you're struggling to eat right now, that's going to make it easier for you to hit your calorie goals, because the reset, we're trying to increase your calories. So that's benefit number 2. So giving your body a chance to resensitize, making it easier for you to eat more. And then finally, number 3, there's a mental part of this, right? And this is huge. We're gonna talk about this multiple times throughout the weekly trainings, whether you make the live trainings or whether you catch the recordings. Mindset is a topic I like to always come back to, because it's so important. It really is. You guys understand my philosophy. That's why you're here. You guys obviously gel with the idea of not wanting to be on these meds for life. One piece of that is the mindset of it. There's no universe for you guys where I can create where you don't have to possess the ability to be able to be hungry or have a craving and have self-control, right? Sounds easy, right? But if that was easy, this medication wouldn't exist. So I totally get that having cravings and food chatter that you can't control, that's what makes this a disease process. That's what creates this problem. That's why the med's here. But we are dampening that response. We are getting your body so that it doesn't hit you as hard. But mentally, especially when you get off the med, you have to be ready to tolerate some amount of normal hunger, normal food cravings. And so there's a mindset piece of that. So I just want to plant that seed now. This is why I think it was you, Beatrice, that was saying you didn't put yourself on a higher dose, which I think is a great idea, because when people come to me and they've been so suppressed that they haven't even felt hunger for months and they forgot what hunger felt like, that kind of works against you, because now that mental toughness weakens, because anything, mental toughness requires repetition, just like your muscles require repetition to stay strong. Just want to plant that seed for you guys now. So a ton to benefit. It's nice to feel hungry again, reminds you what real hunger feels like. It positions you back. Oh, wow, I'm on this crazy powerful drug. It creates this totally non-real artificial situation, but I know why I'm on it. And so it's nice to feel it again. And then you get back on the med. And truthfully, as I've been doing this for years now and seeing more and more, I used to be so much, let's get you off the drug as fast as possible. Now that more and more research comes out, even this stuff about blindness, we could talk about that in a second. That's really, unless you have a history of diabetic retinopathy, I wouldn't worry about that. But overall, we're seeing continual amazing things about this med. So I'm a lot more relaxed about, like, we have to rush to get off of it. I still want you guys to get off of it. I still want you guys to be dependent upon not having to use it. But what's starting to happen now is I'm more comfortable with this relationship in the future where it's like an intermittent type relationship. We don't have to rush to get off of it. Maybe we hit your weight loss goal, and maybe for 6 months to a year, you say, I'm going to use it intermittently. And then we just feel really good about an entire year where you're stable, your health is better, and you used it half as much. That's just one example for an individual. And then year 2, we use it even less, right? And so that is a whole nother conversation we'll have with you when we get you there. But just positioning you now for an understanding of, it's not as bad as I had originally thought, but I still would love to get you guys there as fast as you want to get yourself there too. Because if you want to get there as fast as possible, I'll get you there as fast as you want to get. But you guys have a lot of say in this. This is me working with you. This is just as much a journey for you and me together, learning about your body. How is it going to react to all this? So, okay, cool. So again, any questions on the fasting? I think you guys were pretty good on that part. Perfect.
I had a question on the thyroid supplement. Would that interfere with my thyroid medication that I'm taking now?
It may. So if you are already being managed for your thyroid hormone, or like you're being managed not by us, right? You're being somewhere else. Yeah. It's a really safe supplement, but if you're already on thyroid meds, I wouldn't worry about it. You're good if you're already on thyroid. But for the people doing a reset that are not on thyroid meds, definitely this supplement can help tremendously. Okay, cool. So now let's talk.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. No, you're good.
So for me, since I didn't really lose like a ton of like my appetite with the injection, should I, or would you recommend like for me to go back to doing the 10 or the 0.5? Is it 0.50?
So you said you did 0.25 for 4 weeks. You did 0.5 for 4 weeks. And when was your last injection?
It was 2 Fridays ago.
Okay, so you've been off for 2 weeks already?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you are already in your little bit of break. Did we establish that you're going to do a reset, or we don't know yet until you tell me, right?
We did a reset for her.
Okay, good. Okay. So since you're in the reset, I would wait till after the reset to start.
Okay. And the peptides? Was that something?
Yeah, so great question. So AOD can be started immediately. AOD is awesome. There's obviously more benefit to AOD when you're actually through the reset on the other side, but AOD still helps metabolic flexibility immediately, but it's pricier. So the caveat is, if we're budgeting this, then wait to use your AOD as well. But if you want to maximize your benefit and you're okay with buying more AOD, then start the AOD right away. Insulin resistance, there's a lot of controversy over what causes it. I'm of the belief of chronically elevated insulin levels is the main cause. And if you think about it, what's the best way to lower insulin levels? It's to stop doing the thing that produces it, which is the eating carbs. So fasting and keto and weight, everything we do is the most powerful at healing this. So that's always been my focus, because I believe that insulin resistance is the primary driver. So you couldn't be in a better spot to handle the insulin resistance.
Okay. That's where I was wanting to learn. Like I don't know. But,
Yeah,
but
no, totally. Insulin resistance is the pathway towards not only obesity, but that's what leads to pre-diabetes and then diabetes.
yeah.
So,
And I noticed the change and I can tell the spikes in my energy and I can tell when I crash. So I know that there's a lot going on.
oh yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
not knowing when it's going on. Am I supposed to eat carbs? Should I grab a protein bar with so many
Well,
carbs?
now we're going to cover all that because now you're going to have guidance. You're going to have, once we get through the reset, then we're about to talk about food right now. So the general approach towards food, guys, is we want to reduce our consumption of processed foods. Now, the fasting is controversial. Nobody's arguing about nutrition. Even the freaking Western doctors understand finally processed food's bad. Like they got everything else wrong, but at least they understand as well, the medical doctors, that yeah, processed foods aren't ideal. So we got to cut that. I would say that as you saw, as you read, 90-10, 90% of your food, let's make it clean during this program. I think getting you to the point where we get you to your goal, you're insulin sensitive again, and we can get you to something more sustainable, 80-20, 80-20, 75-25. You're going to have some bad weeks about this program where hey, 1 week was not 90% clean. Just get past it, get back on it next week, and get back on that horse and keep going. Don't overstress it. Don't overthink it. But we do want to make it a goal to keep 90% of our food per week anti-processed. And so that's why I talk about Paleo Mediterranean as great representations of that. There's probably plenty of foreign food that falls outside those two categories that would still be good, as long as it's not processed. That limits you to fruits, vegetables, meats, nuts. And the fruits, that's a whole nother conversation. If you're eating freaking bowls of watermelon and bananas and grapes, yeah, probably not good for us right now, although there's certainly worse things. I know none of us are doing that. That's why I'm okay with fruit. Ideally, berries are your best fruit. There are fruits that are better for you, and there are fruits that are worse. You can easily Google a list of which fruits are better, but truthfully, berries are the best to be sticking with. Ton of nutrients, very low sugar. But if you have a little bit of an apple here or an orange here, I think that's fine with everything else that we're doing. And the nutrients and the phytonutrients, giving you some variety in your food is always nice too, because it makes it easier to adhere to. So that's our approach towards food. Protein is huge. A simple formula to follow. If there's one macro you do count, it's protein. If you're not confident you're getting enough protein, count that because it's easy. So between your current weight and your target weight in grams of protein, that's the goal. So if you weigh 200 and you know you should be weighing around 150, I want you to be shooting for 150 to 200 a day. There's some good research now that says your body can absorb large amounts of protein at once. So the takeaway is, ideally, perfect structure would be every single meal, you're getting a good 30 to 50 grams of protein. Spread it out. That would still be the ideal. But if it's the last meal of the day and you're like, oh shit, I haven't had protein all day, get a protein shake with your meal, since you're probably not going to be able to eat 150 grams of some sort of meat. That's going to be challenging for anybody. So protein supplements are totally okay, and in fact advisable if that's what it takes to hit your protein requirements.
Sorry, can you repeat that of how much protein we should be eating?
Yeah. So you look at your current body weight and then you look at your target weight. So if you weigh 200, you should weigh 150. Then your goal should be to consume between 150 and 200 grams of protein per day. And perfect world situation would be you're spreading that out over your 3 meals. Because when you're doing an 8-hour window, the most you're going to eat is 3 meals for most people, right? 2 to 3 meals is perfect. The 1 meal a day, in theory, would be great. It would be phenomenal. But the problem with 1 meal a day is most people end up under eating their protein and their calories. So unless you're counting your calories, if you were counting your calories and protein, then OMAD would be phenomenal. You wouldn't even probably have to do the long fasting that I recommend, the 48. But the whole point is to make it easy, and counting calories is a pain in the ass. That's why I always say to follow the flow, and that way we can get away with guessing and estimating. And then there's a section on the Welcome to form where it talks about breaking the long fast. So make sure you're aware. The gist of it is, after a long 48-hour fast, you take it easy, bone broth, soups, easy to digest foods, and you increase the complexity and the size. And then it takes about a full 24 hours. It really does, to get your digestive system back to normal after a full 48-hour, especially for the first couple of months when your body's just the first time you've ever done something like this fast to this extent. The only time excessive high excessively high intakes of protein would be an actual concern, potentially would be if you had some actual known kidney disease or kidney issues. And that would be a really high protein diet. So, okay. So supplements, you guys saw on the welcome to form, there's a ton of supplements. I did break it down into categories. So the only ones I'm saying are mandatory is not that much, actually. This is the bare bones minimum of what every human needs for just optimal health. As you saw, the magnesium, the vitamin D, the essential fatty acids, the multivitamin, the B complex, that's standard. You can replace the multi with the greens if you want. Greens is a little pricier, but those greens products are really good. So one or the other is totally fine. Outside of those core four, then there's the electrolytes, which are mandatory if you're doing the long fasting, right? So once you get to that stage, adding the scoop of the sugar-free electrolytes with something like with an extra quarter teaspoon of salt per day is very important so that you don't get deficient in electrolytes, because you're going to lose your electrolytes and you're not eating food. So that's very important. You'll know, by the way, if you guys do a single 48-hour fast with no electrolytes, the quick symptoms you'll notice is tiredness, muscle cramps, headaches. So don't do that. Make sure you get your electrolytes in. Outside of that, the rest of the supplements are pretty much situational, right? The big ones are fiber. We know now for a healthy gut microbiome, you want diversity in the gut microbiome. Favorite fiber supplement is there. If you're not getting 20 to 25 different fruits and vegetables, I don't know who does that. That's really, you got to put a lot of effort to get 20 to 30 different fruits and vegetables. So that live fiber from Unicity is awesome because it's got 18 different fibers in it. So you can do that in your eating windows and that'll help supplement. And so we got the live fiber. If you have gut issues, there's a whole gut healing protocol. And that's important too, because we're going to start, some of you are just starting the GLP-1. You probably heard side effects are nausea, indigestion, bloating. So if you start getting any of those types of symptoms, digestive enzymes are great. The gut healing supplements are great if you start getting those symptoms. If you're already having those symptoms prior to this, then definitely do the gut healing stuff because you want to minimize, you don't want those to get worse when you start the GLP-1.